Hey guys, welcome back to another review. Today we are talking about the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. It's finally here. I finally have it in my hands. I've been using it the last couple of weeks. I'm not gonna go over all the specs and everything of this camera, all the hookups or any of that. You can look all that up. My main thing is, how do I enjoy using this camera? I wish it was smaller. I think this huge screen on the back is kind of overkill. I think it could have been a lot smaller. I put it on the Ronin S. I got it to balance, but it still was kind of a pain in the butt to get to work. I mean, they have a nice design in the grip where your thumb kind of sits right here really nicely. And the fingers, like everything, like I said, like the design is nice. I just wish it was a little more compact. But again, the camera's kind of meant to be used more in this type of setting. The best part of this camera is all of the buttons. They did an excellent job of placement of buttons, the assigned functionality of these buttons, and the ones on the back. So I don't really have to touch the screen that much. It's really great, unless I'm changing my actual recording format from HD to ProRes to 4K to RAW or whatever else. My favorite button by far that they added was the high frame rate button. To quickly jump from regular to high is just amazing. Such a great button to have, super helpful. I found myself using that a lot. These two buttons are kind of useless for me, the focus button and the iris button. The thing I can't stand are these little rubber things on the side. They're so annoying to like clip back into place, especially the bottom one. I can never get it like, see, it's just, I might, in the future when I get a cage on this thing, I might just pop those off and snip them off. I didn't do a huge in-depth with recording through the USB to a hard drive. I had I think it's called Glyph hard drive. It's one of those like super fast USB-C hard drives, solid state. It worked fine. I recorded a bunch of stuff on it. I didn't do it, like I said, I didn't do huge tests, so that works. Mostly I used CFast cards. And I have older ones. It's the Lexar Professional 3400X. I've shot everything on this as far as like high frame rates, RAW, you know, you name it. And I haven't had an issue except when you go to RAW lossless at 60 frames per second, I do get drop frames. Now, as far as like low light, that's a big thing everyone is like, oh, it can do low light because it has dual ISO. So you have your 400 ISO, which obviously looks great. There's no issues there. And then you go up to 3200 for the second native ISO. And they both have basically the same grain look, in my opinion, as far as like how grainy it is or noisy it is. The best one is once you go from 1000 to 1250 is when it resets the dual native ISO. So from 1000, it's back on the 400 ISO, and then 1250 up is on the 32 native ISO. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, you can see a big change actually in the image as you switch between those two. 3200 is a little bit noisier, and then anything above 3200 I found to be just too noisy for me. Oh, that's another thing. Rolling shutter, like it's comparable to the 4.6K or the Ursa Mini Pro. It looks basically the same. Obviously the 4K Ursa doesn't have any rolling shutter. It's a global shutter, but this doesn't feel any worse than the Ursa Mini 4.6K. Rolling shutter seems basically the same. Touchscreen works great. It's the same user interface as all of the other Ursa Mini cameras. So if you're used to the Blackmagic interface as far as menus go, very self-explanatory, very easy to use, fantastic. Have no complaints there. The microphones on the front, Blackmagic was ranting and raving about how great it is, that like, oh, we thought about audio. Yeah, it's a great scratch track. That's it. I wouldn't bank my audio off of these mics. I mean, this is a $1,300 camera with a giant screen on the back. I would guess that they probably didn't put a ton of money into these microphones on the front. Just a guess. SD card, I haven't tested that yet, so I can't speak to that. I have CFast cards, so that's kind of superfluous for me. What I wish they had done is allow you to shoot on both at the same time. That would have been amazing. That way you could have proxy, like a ProRes proxy, and then a RAW on the other card, so that like the C200, how it does it, that you can have both. One little note that I thought was nice is the battery. You can switch by just touching it to see percentage or voltage. So that was nice. I thought that was a nice little touch. Battery life, I complained a while ago in one of my old videos that the battery was like, it doesn't last 30 minutes. It lasts about an hour, maybe just under an hour. If you're using the Canon batteries, if you use knockoff batteries, it's about 45 minutes. So, you know, weigh that as you will, a $60 battery versus 2 batteries for $30. You might be better off getting the $30 batteries and just get 1 or 2 more. I would say to run this all day, if you have a charger, 4 or 5 batteries would be fine. There's so many different solutions coming out for this camera as far as battery solutions go, which is great. One thing I will note, it's a little grainier than I was expecting, a little noisier than I was expecting, but I think that's because it is on a smaller sensor size. I've been working with larger sensors on the Ursa Mini Pro and the 4.6K, the Super 35. So I think it's just a little more grainy because it is kind of the smaller sensor and you're expanding it over a 4K image. Also, one thing to note, when you're shooting Ultra HD 3840 by 2160, it does crop the sensor slightly. To get the full sensor size, you have to be at 4096 by 2160. So it's a real slight crop, not a ton. But yeah, as far as a camera goes, this is definitely my new B cam. With the 4.6K. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This is kind of my quick rundown of my initial thoughts of this camera, how I've been using it, how I feel it fits in the Blackmagic family. But stay tuned. My biggest thing that I've been working on is a comparison between the Ursa Mini 4K, Ursa Mini 4.6K, and this camera, the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K. I want to see how they stack, especially how this one fits. And I've been doing low light tests, I've been doing dynamic range tests, but I'm not ready to release those videos yet because I haven't totally analyzed all the results that I've gotten, but stay tuned, that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe and check out my other videos. Thanks, guys, I really appreciate it.